It's quarterback Chase Griffin from UCLA, and I'm chopping it up with legendary tight end Charles Arba.
Man, it's exciting to have Chase Griffin, UCLA quarterback, a Texan like myself, crushing it on the NIL, but all the way around. Chase, it's good to have you on the Chopping It Up with Buck show. Appreciate it. You see my helmet back there. Look, yep. There's no denying right. In the house.
Living legend.
Yeah. So you tell me about how you ended up at UCLA. I can tell you my story. I've read it, but it's just really interesting because you were born in Cali in Santa Monica, but then ended up getting back to LA to go to school.
Right. So like you said, I was born at UCLA Hospital Santa Monica.
Okay.
Grew up here until I was around 4. And then my parents wanted me to be raised somewhere else. So my mother's from Jersey. That's too cold. My father's from Austin. At the end of the day, he gets to say. So we moved to Austin. Actually, I have cousins and an aunt and an uncle who live around 5 minutes from there in Pflugerville. So
okay.
So I grew up in Round Rock, actually. But I always wanted to go back to school in LA at UCLA. And growing up, I always rooted for these teams. Brent Hundley, I mean, he was awesome. But when I got to college, I'm not a big person at all. And as a quarterback, I wasn't really getting any type of buzz, especially on the West Coast. And, I was one of the better players in the state of Texas, actually, my senior year. I was the Gatorade Player of the Year. And but until that point, I was thinking I was probably going to play in the Ivy League, which is not chopped liver. It's They have good football, and it's the best schools in America. Well, about a week before going to the Harvard camp, this is the summer before my senior year, I get a text from Coach Kelly. And I had never really been in contact with him. So it was really out of the blue. And he's like, "You want to come down here and throw?" I'm like, man, UCLA asking me to come out and throw, and it's Coach Kelly. And came out, killed it. I committed on the spot. And I'm glad that I did, just because when you look at what UCLA is about, both on and off the field, it was definitely a match. And I think that's why my career has been successful thus far. And I still have eligibility. So I'm trying to win a Rose Bowl. That's my main mission.
Man, when you're UCLA Bruin, you said it best. I lost 2 times to those guys across the street for a Rose Bowl title. But I'll say this: my mom lives in Round Rock, so from there. And over the years, you and I have gotten to know each other through Twitter and social media. Right. Yeah, I've been out on campus. We've met each other. But the interesting thing is, before you even got to UCLA, the Elite 11, I mean, that's the whole thing. George Whitfield, the quarterback guru. How'd you get connected with that? I know your dad is a Harvard guy. Your mom is Ivy League as well. Right. Really wanted to help you mature and grow. You were a violinist, but became a quarterback. And out of Texas, that's a big deal.
Right. So, growing up, I had a huge priority on excellence in everything that I do. My mother is a teacher, and my father comes from, he's not in education, but he comes from a long line of educators in Jim Crow South who still, despite restrictions, still pursued higher learning. So I took pride in being good in school and pride in being good at violin. And my first sport was actually soccer, where I learned how to train. The trainer named David Den, he still trains in Austin, and he's one of the best soccer trainers in the world. He has kids go, to the North Carolinas, the Wake Forests of the world every single year. So that's where I learned how to train as far as sport and pick things up quickly. I was sure about myself even at a young age. And growing up, I really liked watching LaDainian Tomlinson highlights. So that's why I wanted to play football. I wanted to be like LaDainian Tomlinson, play running back. My father saw my personality. I'm very even keel. I don't get too high. I don't get too low. And thought that I would be a good team leader as a quarterback. And as soon as I started playing it and training for it, I fell in love with the position. I think it's definitely something that, while it's part of football, the mindset of a quarterback has to be completely different than the rest of the team. And I definitely cherish that as part of the position. So that's how I ended up being a quarterback. And in the state of Texas, you can't really ask for more. I was pretty much the face of my town, especially my junior and senior year. And the offensive performances that we had in our stadium were really a sight to behold.
Well, so Chase, I tell people this all the time, and I know Hutto, it's a smaller town outside Austin. It's growing because of Georgetown and all that. But I don't think people realize, and they're amazed when they first go to Texas and go to a high school football game. Right. The town shut down. Everybody is there. I mean, it is crazy. Describe that atmosphere for folks that don't quite get Texas high school football.
Right. I think a lot of people, they have a visual with Friday Night Lights, the show. And of course, there's a bunch of added drama in there.
Yeah.
But as far as the actual game environment, where there's an actual investment in what these literally 14, 15, 16, 17-year-olds are doing on Friday night is very true. And you feel that pressure, you get used to it. And I think that's why you see Texas players and quarterbacks in particular succeeding at a higher rate than every other state at the collegiate and especially NFL levels. We're used to that pressure, and we take pride in it. When we think there's a game coming, we're not thinking, "Oh man, what's gonna?" I'm thinking, "Man,
let's go."
They about to watch me go off. That's how I feel.
Yeah. Going back to George Whitfield, I guess you were close to Johnny Manziel, Aaron Rodgers. Tell us a little bit about the sunscreen. I mean, Johnny Manziel's, pro day.
Right.
Is your nickname, and you had it all going on before you even got to school, man.
Right. So, I mean, in Texas, the sun is hot, but in Cali, the sun is bright. And the same in Oregon. So this was actually at the Elite 11 finals and opening finals up at Nike's campus at Oregon. The sun was so bright. So I had to wear sunscreen. And Aaron Rodgers was out there. He's like, "Man, does anyone have sunscreen?" No one had any, but I did in my backpack. So I ran over, told my father, like, "Can we get the sunscreen?" And he gave it out. And then lo and behold, it's Aaron Rodgers right there saying, "Thank you." But I mean, that was really cool. I think as far as the Elite 11 experience, and past the Elite 11, really, George Whitfield has definitely been a huge mentor for me. And same for Trent Dilfer. I think that a lot of the opportunities that I have today are here because God placed those people in my life. And I'm very grateful for them. And I'm grateful to God for allowing me to be part of that cohort. I think I was talking about this with my father. No one really pops up from anywhere. You look at anyone who's been successful, there's always a bunch of redeeming figures in their past where they've been stepping stones to where they are now. And I'm grateful for everyone that's been a huge piece of that.
Well, your dad, Will, your mom, Christine, you're one of three, right?
Yeah, so, the oldest.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's really interesting to hear folks talk about who has been there before. Your parents have played a big role. Who else were really key influencers and influential in your life besides your mom and dad growing
up? Aside from the football side, I'd say it's less of a person, but more faith. That's really been my key guiding factor in everything, and that supersedes everything. I think something that makes me have the ability to process is less of like a physical, brain working of being able to think quickly. I think I am gifted with that, but I think something more powerful than that is the ability to have perspective in every situation. I look at everything I see the real tendencies of everything, but I'm also an optimist. And I can't help but be an optimist because I feel like I won life already. Like
Hey, you playing with $100 in your pocket already.
Playing with the house's money. Exactly. I'm playing with the house. And when I go into every situation like that, it doesn't make me complacent at all. It actually makes me feel more energized because I feel like I got the win in the bag. Now it's just seeing how big I can make the win. And I really approach every single situation as if it's all going to work out. And I think because I think like that, I take the steps needed to make that happen.
It doesn't seem like I've met many people that have bad things to say about Chase Griffin. I can remember Dana Bible and I've gotten to know Dana over the years, and, talking to him about you, we would always talk about DTR, your in your quarterback room, but he would always talk about you and how you were just like a sponge, but also everybody gravitated towards you when you got to play against Oregon. In that game, when you played against Stanford, when you played, it's like you showed up. And I think that's the thing that, Dana always liked about you and just raved about you. But it was something about that when you get your opportunity, how have you been able to seize it? Because we'll talk about NIL because you've done a job there, but on the field, you have to still, even if you're back, you got to be ready, right? You got to be ready.
Because I'm not here to be a backup. I'm here to win the Rose Bowl. Of course, I have the self-belief that I have what it takes to lead us there. But until that opportunity comes, I'm going to keep on, sharpening my iron and staying ready. As far as Coach Bible, he was a great coach. I'm grateful that he was a large piece of me coming to UCLA. I actually, through Coach Whitfield at one of his draft camps.
That's right.
For Johnny Manziel, met Coach Bible when I was around 12 or 13. I still have that picture. But everything really came full circle. As far as an X and O's ground up teacher, I don't think I've ever been coached by anyone better. And the foundation that he set for as long as my career in this sport goes. And I think it created great habits as far as the ability to learn, regurgitate information, and then put it into use on the field. And I think those are invaluable tools that I learned from him.
The way we hit it off, Chase, is I met him at Boston College when he had Matt Ryan. I covered him, and we got to really know each other when he was at North Carolina State with Russell Wilson and then Mike Glennon. And one time I went in and I was only supposed to be there 45 minutes. Next thing I know, it's 3 hours. And we had discussed the passing game. We had discussed when you talk to him again, ask him some great Sid Gilman stories.
Okay.
They're outstanding because he will have some stories. And it's just interesting to hear, like, we think football has changed, but football has really just evolved and it comes full circle. And that's the thing I love about Dana Bible.
Right. Absolutely. When you talk about football, the game, I think the reason why I do excel in games is because I recognize it as quarterback's job on every play is drop back, find the open person, and hit them. Now, the way you get there, everyone has their own way. But I think something that Coach Bible appreciated about how I played was in games I made things work.
Yeah.
That's what I've always done at this position. It's what I've done in everything in my life. And next time I get back out there on that field, I'm not saying everyone's going to be surprised, but I definitely think that I've gotten better from the last time I played. And the last time I played, I had almost a perfect quarterback rating in the Rose Bowl.
Well, the beautiful thing about that, I think Andre Ware was on that game at Oregon, if I'm mistaken. I've known Dre for a long time, and we talked afterwards. And Chase, the thing that I've always seen, even when I watch him practice, getting the ball out and just distributing it to who it needs to go to. And I think that's the real key with playing the quarterback position.
Absolutely.
When you think about the opportunities and being able to slow the game down, what's been the difference when you left high school and Hutto to now? What was that big adjustment? There's always an adjustment for people as they make that transition.
Right. I think for myself, I was definitely blessed to play great competition in Texas. One thing I can say about Texas, we have fast guys and we really have big guys. So
that's true.
Playing against a D line that was 6'4", 280 was nothing new for me because, Manor High School, which was in my district, had University of Florida, who's playing right now, Princely. And on the other side, we had 6'3", and then in the middle, we had 6'6" and 6'4". So I was used to playing against guys like that every single week. And going to college, obviously, everyone is better. The players that you played against in high school are better. The players that are from California. They're good too. And you have to learn to adjust. I think the biggest adjustment is I was almost calling half the plays in high school.
Okay. So you actually got to call the plays in high school.
We would get a call in. Most plays we ran were called, but probably around 40% were just check with me calls. And we weren't checking with the coach. The receivers were checking with me.
Okay.
We call something and it would work. And I think that having that skill set, the ability to call your own plays, is huge for a quarterback. But at the college and NFL levels, that's just not the way a lot of systems go.
Yeah. And it's a shame, Chase, that you say that, because in talking to the quarterbacks of old and coordinators, that's why Tom Moore allowed Peyton Manning to call his plays. Right. You're starting to see some guys, as they get to a certain age, they will take the playbook or, certain situations where they're making decisions. And, back in the day, I mean, those guys were making the play. They call the plays. They got this is what, this is what we run.
Yeah, that day might be passing.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think the biggest thing, too, is going to UCLA. You talked about it, and I've heard. I was always blown away by the number of people that came through that university, whether it was Ralph Bunch, whether it was Rayford Johnson, whether, Jackie Robinson, whether it was Jackie Joyner-Kersee or Troy Aikman, or, the list is endless. Arthur Ashe.
Right.
Always great people on that campus. And when they would come back, you're always, what has that been like for you? Because I think that was the most eye-opening experience. The biggest aha moment for me is when I made All-American, and I'm on the same list as Jackie Robinson.
Right.
Wow. I couldn't put that into words.
Right. Well, I think I had always learned about these individuals growing up, just because I had always been educated on the history of excellence, and being Black, that's coined as Black excellence. So how can you not learn about these members of society who progressed it forward? I think something I may have not been as aware of growing up is that all these people came from the same school. And the ability to go to UCLA and not only be at the same spot they were, but you have all these basically immortalized figures or buildings dedicated to these individuals. I walk with a sense of pride knowing that I'm in the same place as Ralph Bunch, because God willing, someday my name holds the same weight, and I affected the same amount of people in a positive way as he did. Those are things that set everything in perspective, where even if I'm not playing, even if we didn't win the Rose Bowl, just because those goals aren't accomplished doesn't mean this isn't an immense lifetime win that I can make great progress out of, not just for myself, but for others.
Yeah. So we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back with Chase Griffin.
Chopping It Up with Buck is brought to you by Thin Energy. Join the Thin Energy Vibe Tribe today at thinenergy.com.
I'm proud to be part of Degree's Breaking Limits team. Degree selected me because of my story. I'm frequently the smallest person on the football field, but I always strive to be the most impactful. All my life, I've overcome other people's narratives of what I can do. Join me in breaking limits and pushing culture forward.
So we're back with Chase Griffin, UCLA quarterback, NIL superstar, guy that just really has been crushing it. And one of the things, Chase, said, I look at things from a perspective of, I think the players, have had an opportunity because there's been others that have come before them. And some people say, I think what you guys are doing is outstanding. My question is, what gave you the insight to know when NIL comes, there will be an opportunity for BE11EVE? Your brand, you got it's cool.
Right. I appreciate that. So yeah, that's my brand, Believe brand. I think that's transformed into something that was big for NIL, but for myself, I just wanted to have a brand. Everyone, when going into college, is trying to find themselves. or I think for myself, I knew myself, but I didn't know how to tell others.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom. This is what I'm about. This is why I can add value to what you're building. I had to develop that before NIL. I think something that people are forgetting is all these kids who are in their second, third, and fourth year, we came to college not knowing that NIL was ever going to happen for us. And now that it's here, those who have been operating the right way are reaping the benefits, finally, as they should have been for literally centuries. But for me, Believe Brand was something that encapsulates everything I'm about, the excellence in everything, being a believer in myself and others, having faith, being guided by it, being a winner. I want to know all the time in my start at the Rose Bowl, and I look forward to building on that because I'm better than I was that first game. I'm also a provider. Through my scholarship, I've saved my money. Saved my family a whole bunch of money, which will help my younger siblings, but also going forward, I won't have to pay any debts for my future family. So it just encapsulates everything I'm about so that I can package it. And through NIL, it's been able to be profitable.
So talk to us about that. I think, donated a portion of the proceeds to the LA regional food banks. You've been able to take care of others. And I think that's, the servant heart and servant guidance is really commendable. But what made you think of that? Because not only are you serving others, you've now become kind of like, you jumped the shark a little bit. You're the NIL summit guy. People look at you as a chief strategist because of how you've been able to do that.
Right. I have to give all that glory to God. I didn't really plan to have the impact that I've had, but I plan to build on it just because I look at it as the UCLA thing, not just something that UCLA does in general, but something that's NIL specific. Ed O'Bannon, he's the godfather of NIL. Without him, and his journey, which was tumultuous and full of turmoil, like people hated him.
When you think about it, you want to go into venture capital and private equity, all of those things. How has NIL helped you to understand that? Because you've been able to, have conversations with high profile folks. That's one of the reasons why I started this podcast. Right. COVID happened. I needed a way to kind of keep my juices going.
Right.
You seem to have been able to do that too. Tell us a little bit about as you finish football, whenever that is, we'll say off in the distance, but now that you're able to do that, you only spend 3 hours a week on NIL, something like that. How are you setting yourself up for that next chapter?
Right. First and foremost, spring football starts next week. That's
okay. All right.
The road to the Rose Bowl starts on Tuesday. Yeah. That's first practice. I always have learned to keep what's most important first. And in this case is how I do in school, and which I'm handling business there, and how I do on the field.
So for school. Yeah, for school now, you were saying you finished, you got your undergrad degree.
Right.
Now you're in the second master. Is that right?
I'm in my first master's.
Oh, I'm pushing your head.
Right. Well, that's not out of the question though, because I finish next spring, and at that time I'll still have 2 years of eligibility.
Yeah, finishing a little over 2 years, right?
Yes.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
that's how long it took me to get my.
So I know you're getting ready for spring ball. Tell us a little bit about that, because you lost some guys on offense, but you gained some folks. Ken Norton is coming back as a defensive coach. I played with Ken. Ken's got a lot of energy. He's going to talk trash to you and the other player. Yeah. Tell us a little. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about the vibe right now. It just seems like it's the place is starting to hop again.
Right. I think we're hopeful. Last season was sort of like a redeeming season. To be honest, I'd never been on losing teams, and for my first 2 years here, it was tough. And then you go to this past year where it seems like things are clicking. We beat some teams handily. And
Yeah.
most of all, we beat USC real bad, which is we're going into this season hopeful and I think mission based. It's no secret that our schedule has been tailored in a different way than it's been tailored in the past, and we have to put in the work to take full advantage of that. As far as from a personal sense, I just look forward to getting better each and every day. When 11's called on that field, I already have conviction about myself, but I want to leave no doubt on that field that I can lead this team to a Rose Bowl. And whenever that time comes, I need to make sure that I'm able to prove myself.
I know you'll find other people, but just keep finding tight ends. I got time for my guys.
Oh man, that's Greg. That's Greg. I played about 2.5 games with Greg. I had 3 touchdowns with him.
Yeah. Right. Go through that whole winter off season, and then it's a chance to get back and because each team is different. That's what I tell everybody. No matter, guys coming back, tell us a little bit about that, what you guys have been able to do to build more camaraderie and, just get closer and ready for this next run.
Right. I think, and this might be shallow, but the best way to build camaraderie is to win.
I agree.
Then last season, we won a lot more than we had my first 2 seasons here. So I think as far as that self-belief and belief in each other, it's established in a way that hasn't been in the past. And I look forward to seeing how that flourishes through spring.
Chase, the other thing that's interesting is you hear more and more guys talking about mental health in college. There's so many more resources available to you guys. And I'm always curious to ask, the game is full of pressure.
Right.
We know that. But how have the resources helped all of you guys and your teammates to get a better handle on handling everything? Because you perform at a high level, but at some point you might need somebody to reach out to, or of others and you're able to put them in that direction.
Right. I think that some other players on the team may have used the actual resources more than I have, but just universally, I think the number one thing is acknowledgement and the fact that mental health and, is chalked up to as mental health, but it's really just, do y'all care about us? And feeling that every single kid is walking there with their parents or their uncle or their aunt or whoever raised them, and they're being handed off. They were raised in that household. They were successful enough to make it through high school, get to college, and they're getting handed off to these coaches for the next 4, 5, 6 years. And I think that there's a real responsibility on these coaches to take care of these kids. Not everyone who's come to college at 17, 18 is ready for the struggles and to face them on their own. And it's imperative that I think, whether it be administration, coaches, or anyone in a position of authority recognizes that and, checks their pride at the door and realizes that the position they're in is almost a sacred position of a caregiver.
A good insight. I wouldn't expect anything less. Let's take a short break. I'll be right back with Chase Griffin.
Chopping It Up with Buck is brought to you by Thin Energy. Join the Thin Energy Vibe Drive today at thinenergy.com.
All right, I'm back with Chase Griffin. Chase, we were talking during the break. It was interesting, podcasting and different things. So with NIL, it has spun off into a lot of different things for you, which is great. Tell us a little bit about some of the next things that may be coming for you. I'm going to have you back on, and you're going to interview me. I'm going to bring it. I'm going to do whatever you want to know. I'm open.
Let's do it. Yeah, no, let's do it. I think for myself, I want to use NIL the same way I would use my education in college, and that's building the skill set and the foundation to be successful long-term throughout life. I've already, through NIL, learned how to market myself, learned how to complete a deal, learned how to be in a business meeting and negotiate. And these are skills that I'll never forget. I've also learn how to filter through. Like if a deal's not worthwhile or if it's not on brand, there's nothing wrong with turning down money for the sake of your dignity or your pride or just pure business common sense. And I think that a lot of what I've learned is translatable to the VC world, translatable to banking, translatable to public service, and translatable to whatever endeavor I'm involved on in life. First, we got the sample. The theme is jamming. I don't think they running at my pace. So, since it's drill beat, extensive percussion-wise, here are the kicks and snares. Some hi-hats in there too. All right, so this sample is really beautiful. I don't think they running at my pace. Jordan ones, gotta keep them laced.
Mixing beats and making music. I see you. I check out how much like that. And you thinking you're gonna do something with Dr. Dre and all that West Coast stuff that's out there? Or rap. You got so many different venues for
right. Yeah, if beats comes through with a deal, I'm in. But until then, I'm unrestricted free agent. If both hop into it, okay. No, the music is just something that I've always loved. I grew up. Music was really my foundation for how to learn, how to train, and I've always loved listening to it. And when you find something that you're good at creating, it's almost intoxicating to spend time on it. And rather than maybe even hang out with friends or rather than play video games, sometimes I just hop on the music, and you have to be careful with it because it does take hours away. Like you'll get lost in making a song for hours upon hours. But I think when you create something and you create, a cool hobby that people actually want to see, it's dope content, and it adds to the notion of me being all around. And I think the skill set that's needed to be creative is the same skill set that's needed to answer an interview question well, or in the heat of battle in a play, split second thing. Get it to this person, and I'll listen to anything. So I really got started with sampling 80s Japanese city pop, and the funniest part is like you can tell that these bands were listening to Isley Brothers in the 70s. There's a little delay in time. Like they probably found these records that were 5 and 10 years old, and were like, we gonna make a dope version of this. And it sounds amazing. It sounds like some of it could be on Motown, some of it could be Columbia. Like these records are incredible, and I just like listening to them. But then I'm like, man, this sort of sounds like a Kanye snippet. And I was off my head to it. And then I just started, downloading the links as MP3s, plugging them in, playing with them, chopping them up, adding my own thing. But what I'll do to it is I'll listen to the song and I'll sing along to it. And I'll sing along a melody. Like that's something that I picked up, being able to hear have the right sound in my mind through playing the violin. And for me, I can already hear the songs in my head while I listen to them. It's about getting better at actually putting all that down. And I've gotten better. I've gotten better with that. I know how to use programs now. And I'm actually, now that I have a good grasp on producing, I'm going to go more into DJing. So I'm actually this week I'm gonna pick up DJing and try to learn how to, if I got to DJ a party or something like that. That would be fun.
DJ Believe, right?
Maybe.
So talking about your family earlier, out of your siblings, who is the one that you were saying your sister is kind of like, I'm bad.
Right. Yeah. No.
Tell me about that dynamic.
She's going to be a world beater. She's the middle child. It used to just be me and her for the longest. And then my little brother came around. When there's the baby, he gets the attention, and there's nothing wrong with it. He's awesome. He's super smart, super sharp, and he saw me and Rose talking all the time, so he talks already like he's old. And, but we got to see how he turns out. As far as my sister, she's at Stanford. She's killing it.
That's cool, man. Well, we're gonna put you in a 2-minute drill. You love. What's your favorite spot in Westwood? Now, for those that don't know, Westwood is right down the hill at LA. That's where we used to go hang out. I don't know if y'all still hang out there, but what's your favorite spot in Westwood?
And the Fox Theater. That's right. That's about 400 feet from where I'm at.
Oh, that's perfect. That's perfect. In-N-Out Burger or Whataburger?
In-N-Out.
Over Whataburger?
Yeah. I'm gonna get heat for that. I already know Texas Twitter gonna be checking in on me.
That's all right. Apple or Android?
Apple or Android? Apple.
Yeah. Okay. So all Apple products.
Nah, I'm actually on PC right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the coolest thing about being a quarterback at UCLA?
This is a good one.
See, I got you.
I think the coolest thing is beating other Pac-12 teams.
Yeah.
That's probably the coolest.
I knew you were going to say that. Yeah. So on that one, that's a big play to the tight end. I don't have one play left. I'm going to give it to you on that one. That gets us down the field. We call a timeout.
Got you.
Position to score. Dosett comes in for me because that was that one play that I had. He still had.
Got you.
Yeah. What's your pregame ritual or habit that you have, or just something you have to do before every game?
Yeah, so people might not know this unless they played with me, but I'm almost comatose during the games. I'm constantly praying the whole time, talking to myself. Okay. I'm always smiling because I think it's very important that the team sees their leader as happy and joyous.
Yeah.
But in my own mind, I'm super quiet. And that's why I'm successful. So before games, I go crazy. Like my warm-ups, I'm looking like the fastest player on the field. I'm so twitched up. The warm-up throws is zoom, zoom. I remember against Oregon, it was my first time playing in about a year, and I was letting those ready-ups go. Like they were flying about 50 yards, just easy. And I have to do that. That way I get all the juice out. That way come game time, I'm really locked in on what I have to do. And then it just becomes fun. Man,
we right there at the 5-yard line. This is a finish because I want to score again.
Right.
Ball hauling drive or PCH? Which one you like driving on?
PCH.
Why? I tell people this all the time. Tell me why you like it, because I love it.
Well, if you're not from Cali,
yes,
really appreciate the beach. And you appreciate it's one of God's most beautiful creations. And to be able to drive and look at it and just be right there at all times, you feel like you're in California.
When I first got my truck and I drove it from Beaumont, Texas.
Okay.
And then I was going and I drove it all the way. When I got there, I was dog tired. Chase, daylight, I drove up to probably all the way past Pepperdine because it was just
right.
Yeah. And I had been there before. It wasn't like I hadn't driven it.
Right.
My truck, the first time I had it to break it in on the PCH.
Right. Like you were making lineage history.
Yeah. Well, we scored on that one, man. It was great to have you on. I'm gonna have you back. I want you to interview me. We'll do this. We'll make this a ritual. And if you start doing some podcasting, Uncle Buck will be the crazy dude in the corner just yelling stuff out.
That's good. Texas to UCLA connection.
Yeah, exactly. It's been great having you on. Look forward to all your success, and we'll have you back on again. Chase Griffin.
Thank you so much, Blake.